I always thought I was born in the most peaceful and quiet place in the US. My village, hidden in the dense forests of Montana, seemed cut off from the rest of the world. Time moved more slowly here. Here, the neighbors knew each other by name, and every sound outside the window could be guessed with closed eyes. I grew up surrounded by the smell of pine bark, the wind that walked between the treetops, and the crackling of the stone stove in our old house. When I was little, I considered these forests my home. They always seemed majestic and kind, full of life. But over the years, this feeling has changed. The forest seemed to darken. It became difficult, suffocating. Sometimes I caught myself coming home and couldn't shake the feeling that someone was standing behind me, hiding between the trees, watching. Most of my peers left this place after school. Someone was looking for a better job, someone was looking for adventure, and someone just couldn't live anymore in a village where every day is like the previous one. Sometimes it seemed to me that I was the only one who stayed here voluntarily. I just couldn't see another life. It was necessary to take care of the old house, the fields, and several animals. I liked the silence. I liked the order. I liked that every dawn in the forest breathed the same. That's what I thought then, until something foreign started in our forests. At first, no one paid much attention. Well, a couple of deer went missing. Well, someone heard strange sounds at night. That happened. But when Harold disappeared, everything changed. Harold was one of the best hunters in our village. Old, grey-haired, but with hands that only shook when he poured whiskey. He knew the forest like the back of his hand. And when he didn't return home after his morning outing, it immediately alarmed everyone. But a day, a second, a third passed, and it became clear that something had happened. His dog sat under the door of the house for 2 days, howling so much that even my house could be heard. On the third day, the village headman assembled a search party. Almost all the men who remained in the village went to look for traces, but the forest gave nothing, as if he himself was hiding the truth. By the fourth day, there were only 2 left, me and Jason, a skinny 19-year-old boy who had recently returned from a vacation with his relatives. He was always quick and brave, sometimes too much. When he heard that people were needed, he immediately called. "Are you sure you want to go there?" I asked him then. "Someone has to do it, right?" he answered, throwing a backpack over his shoulders. "And it's just a forest. I have been going to him since childhood. Just a forest. I thought so too. We went out into the light. The sun was just waking up, but the forest seemed darker than it should be. It was as if there was not enough light for him, as if he did not want to accept it. At first we walked familiar paths, but then we had to turn to thickets where even hunters rarely went. Harold was searched everywhere, but we thought we might find something that others had overlooked. For the first hours, we walked in silence. The silence was wrong. In the forest, you can always hear birds. You can always hear small animals moving somewhere. But it was empty. It's just empty. Yes, as if everything alive fled. "There's no sound," Jason finally muttered. "This is not normal. Maybe before the storm?" I tried to explain it somehow, but the weather was clear. We went on. An hour. Second. The third. The forest was getting deeper, darker. A branch creaked underfoot, but nothing else. And the further we went, the more I felt that we were not alone. It was a strange feeling, as if someone is watching us. Someone big. Someone is quiet. like a shadow that slides between the trees. But it was worth turning your head. There was nothing there. When the sun began to hide behind the tops of the trees, we stopped to rest. And it was at this moment that Jason exclaimed, "Stop." I raised my head and saw what I at first thought were remnants of old clothing scattered on the ground. But when he got closer, my legs are cold. It was Harold's body. More precisely, what was left of him. It broke him. It didn't just kill. He was torn to pieces so that the parts were scattered on the lawn, but not an animal. I saw how bears, wolves work. They tear and cut, but in their own way. Everything was different here, scarier, as if something was playing with him. There were scratches on the trees, long, uneven, and too high to be left by an ordinary animal. I could barely hold back my nausea. "God," Jason whispered. "What is it, a bear?" I was about to answer, but then we heard a roar. Not a scream, no curling. Roar. Deaf, long, so low that the ground underfoot barely responded. It came from the depths of the forest, from such darkness that no light penetrated there. We both fell silent. A chill ran down my spine. Something about the sound was wrong. It was as if not one creature was roaring, but dozens, hundreds of voices, interwoven into something single, terrible. "Let's run," Jason shouted. And we ran. They ran without breaking the trail. They ran so that the breath rushed out of the chest and the legs twisted on the roots. The roar was repeated, closer, louder, and already it seemed that it was resounding not from one place, but from all sides. I don't know how we got out of that forest. I only remember how they broke out into the meadow near the village and fell straight to the ground. People ran out of their houses asking what happened, but I could not speak. My hands were shaking, legs, even the voice is gone. Then I tried to convince myself that they were wolves. But when the next morning 3 more men went to inspect the place where we found the body, they did not return. And it started in the evening. First, strange sounds. Not screams, not a roar, but a quiet shuffling behind houses. Then Farmer Marta's chickens disappeared. Then her dog. Then the farmer himself from the neighboring farm disappeared. People said they saw shadows in the forest, that something is running between the trees. Something high, something thin. But every time they tried to look, the creature disappeared. The mayor ordered not to go out after dark, but it didn't help. Because it came to the village. Be careful at first, as if studying, as if it wanted to understand where we are weak, and then it started to attack. One morning we found the door of the old forge broken in, and the walls inside scratched, as if someone was looking for someone. It was like someone was trying to open the door with their hands, or claws. There was blood at the entrance, a lot of blood, but there was no body. The blacksmith disappeared. Then Todd's family, a man, a woman, and a young daughter, disappeared. The door was open from the inside. It was as if they themselves went out to meet what was calling them into the darkness. No one doubted anymore. These are not wolves. These are not bears. It is not something of this world. By the 3rd week, 7 people had already disappeared. The village emptied. No one laughed. Didn't go outside once more. Everyone lived in fear. Some prayed. Some packed things, but did not have time to leave. The one who was going to run away was found torn in 2 outside the village. Jason was by my side almost every day. We were the only ones who saw Harold's body. The only ones who heard that roar. and the only ones who saw huge claw marks in the tree. "It's not an animal," he said one evening, "and not a person." "And what then?" He looked into the darkness outside the window. "Something that lived in the forest long before us." That night, we did not sleep. After a few days, the village began to empty completely. Some managed to escape during the day, but most were afraid to even leave their homes. However, the forest was alive every night. I heard soft footsteps near my house. I heard a breath. Heard how someone ran his fingers along the wall, along the wood, slowly, scraping. And one day, I heard someone softly say my name. Not a human voice. It was as if many voices were whispering at the same time. After that, I pushed all the furniture to the door and sat with the weapon in my hands until morning. Only Jason kept saying something had to be done. "We can't just sit here. What is in the forest will not stop. It wants all of us. It plays with us." "What do you propose?" I asked. "Go to the forest. You are crazy." "Maybe, but it will take us anyway." And he left. Himself. The next morning I found a note from him. "I have to try. If I don't come back, don't look for me." He didn't come back, and a day later, I heard the same roar. Only now, right behind the house. I ran outside and saw a shadow, Veletenska. She was standing between the trees, tall, thin, with long arms that almost touched the ground. I did not see her face, only shine, two bright, predatory lights in the darkness. I felt the ground shaking under her steps. Something fell at my feet. When I held up the lantern, it was Jason's backpack, torn, all covered in blood. Inside was part of a shirt sleeve and a piece of fabric that looks like skin. The shadow moved. She knew I could see her, and she wanted me to see. I went back. She took a step forward. I ran away. I'm writing this right now sitting in a dark house. There is silence all around, but not as calm as it used to be. The silence that precedes something terrible. I see the same eyes outside the window. They look at me. They blink as if laughing. The village is empty. I'm the last one. Something stirs in the forest. Slow. Unspeakably. It's like a whole army of shadows is closing in on me. I will not run away. I have nowhere to go. I think I hear them whispering my name. I hear claws scratching the wall from outside. I hear something big breathing just by the door. If someone finds it, tap, go eat.